This year the theme in Japan is Shingin Budo. This theme is a very high-level theme that Hatsumi Sensei has given to us this year. And it's a theme that is a bit spiritual in nature. He talks about this being allowing the divine into your technique, or allowing divine techniques to work through you in your Bujinkan training. So when you're trying to figure out how to make this happen, it can be like crossing into a divine space. If I cross underneath this torii gate here, the feeling that happens in that crossing is something very subtle. It can be a feeling that for some people is really powerful, or it can be nothing at all, depending on the person as they cross through that space, that threshold underneath the gate there. So one strategy we can use to understand the theme this year is creating that kind of divine space in the kukan. Hatsumi Sensei has said to us, in fact he just said it last night in class, that you want to create your own kukan when you're in a fight. And creating your own kukan is an interesting concept. It's something he's hinted at many times in the past. You want to create a space within the conflict where you can survive, where you can be at peace, where you can be safe. And so if you open up that space in the kukan and create kind of a divine space, like maybe the space you create when you bow in at the beginning of class in the dojo, that can be a sort of protection for you. It also can be kind of a channel for this higher idea of allowing techniques to work through you. We're going to work on, like we were doing before I left, this Bokuden-ryu. I don't know if you know Bokuden-ryu. It's one of the ryus that our sensei is the grandmaster of, but you never hear about it. Like, he has the scrolls, and he's apparently one of the grandmasters of this ryu. But if you guys have ever seen the video Shingen Budo, those are all Bokuden-ryu techniques that sensei's showing on there. And so we've been exploring those. And I started exploring these before I went on my trip to Japan, just because of the kind of mutodori quality in them, that it was a continuation of last year's theme. But when I got to Japan, Sensei was doing kodachi techniques like right off the bat, so I guess I was in tune with what he's thinking. So we're going to continue with that stuff for a while, because it ties really closely into the things he was doing when I was over there. I think it'll be good for us. So this kata that we're going to look at tonight, Sosha, we already did one version of it. This is another version of Sosha that we're going to do tonight. It starts with this lapel grab. So, over here, please. So he grabs my lapel here, and then he's going to pull this out, draw it, come up, and cut down. That's his attack, okay? So lapel grab. I come here, I'm lifting this up, okay? And I throw him this way. Pretty simple looking. One more. So I'm using his own arm here to shield, okay? Lifting him up and then dropping. Let's go this way. So his own arm is helping me to shield, okay? So that way. So I'm using Jesse's arm to help me shield here, okay? Just throw him that way. One more. This hand also has to help you to protect, okay? So lifting up on his elbow, dropping down. All right. I'm showing the pretty basic version of this. We'll look at more details as we go, okay? Try it out. You guys were asking if there's a cover. When he grabs, right, you could do the standard cover, You could do Takagi Oshinru style cover. We could cover with this other hand. Okay, all of those are fine. But each one that you do creates kind of a different entrance, right? So if we're doing like the standard cover and Richard goes for his cut here, I want to make sure I time my evasion with his cut. If I go too early, he'll just change his cut. If I go too late, then I get killed. So, once more. So I want to feel what he's doing with his draw and his cut. I want to try to feel with my body his rhythm to that attack, right? Some people might not attack right away. Some people might draw and just be like threatening like this, and they might not cut immediately, right? Maybe they don't want to really kill you, or maybe they just want to threaten you. So they may not cut right away. So you don't want to start evading before the cut's actually happening. So he grabs a hold. I want to feel that. And you see just by this little turn here on the cover, how I use that as a shield. Okay. That changes the course of his cut. And then I hide behind his arm to kind of protect myself. Okay. So that. Okay. This other hand I want to put out here just to cover against another swing. Okay. Then this hand can slide under the elbow and lift up. Okay, I want the thumb up, and then I drop the thumb down. Okay, just this thumb up position, raising up, and then dropping it down, that should be enough to kind of send him on his way. And then you add in the leg for a little extra. Okay, one more time. So I have that shield up and then down. Okay. See how soft that can be? So he comes with his grab. See how he never got a hold? That's important. It throws off his rhythm. He's not sure what to do at that point.
Like a caveman guy.
Yeah, he feels everything's kind of confused at that point. He's probably going to continue to swing because he has no option, but it's confusing. So, see where I've received here? So if he's got a long suka, my hand is hooking under the suka there. Okay, but I'm not, I haven't grabbed anything. So I go for this kick, I walk across, and I just walk through him. So here's where I inflate, right? If I want to get rid of the sword, it's very easy at this point. He can't hardly hang on. All right. You don't want to do the technique yourself. You want to allow other things to work through you. So if you're using muscle or you start grabbing, then it's all you, right? You have to kind of flow with his rhythm and try to invite in other experiences beyond yourself. Sensei was talking about in Japan that you open up your own kukan, right? And allow that space to be, to protect you, to be your safety. So it's on my shoulder now. Okay. I did all of that without grabbing. Okay. So he comes in. It's on my shoulder. Again, I haven't grabbed anything. Okay. He said that was weird. Yeah, it is weird. Yeah, it's a weird feeling.
Well, I felt like it would have. I don't know. I felt like I had connected somehow when I landed on your shoulder.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This is another important detail. When you do this kind of thing, the other guy thinks he's making progress. He thinks he's getting somewhere. He thinks he's, he may win. And you want to let him have that feeling, because then that ends up defeating him. It's a trap for his mind. Yeah. He gets trapped in the idea that he's getting somewhere. Try this, please. You saw I did a couple different henka there. And so when you're doing it with this feeling, it's going to vary depending on how the attack comes in. Try it out. Hey, Richard, on that last part, do it by walking. So Sensei is grabbed here, right here. Walk. See how I've walked to? Now if I just put this leg here, he can't even stand up anymore. So just by walking across, so I don't have to do too much of trying to bar the arm or pulling. It's just walking, right? Yeah, just keep walking. There you go. When you create this kind of divine space in the kukan, it protects you, and it works. It can work in a way to open you up so that you're not using your own ego, your own technique, your own force, your own muscle in the conflict. When you do that, very surprising things happen. The techniques that come out of you are ones that you don't expect, nor does your opponent. They're things he can't defend against because they're so unexpected. Walk, yeah.
Stop trying to do the technique and just kind of let something flow. Felt much better.
Oh, good. Yeah, you know, when we are in class and we're trying to do a kata that the teacher shows, you know, sometimes that's really hard because it, you know, just because it worked for the teacher doesn't mean that it's going to work for you, right? And you know, everybody attacks differently. You know, things change, so sometimes it's difficult to do a prescribed technique. You know, and it's unnatural, really. You know, in a real situation, you can't ever do that. So it's really an unnatural thing to study kata. We study them to learn the principles behind the kata, but in real life, you're never going to do a kata. So it's a little bit unnatural. That brings up another interesting point too about like trying to correct other people in your class. You know, like me, you know, when I'm in Japan, a lot of times my training partners, I outrank them and have many more years of experience than them, but I never correct anyone, ever. You know, I'm not the teacher of that class, so that's up for the teacher to do, and it's better for me just to pay attention to what they're doing and learn from it myself. And if they ask me for help, then maybe I'll try to help. But otherwise, I never say anything, and because it's, you know, when you're correcting someone, it's usually a mistake that you're making that you really, you know, you should focus on yourself. You know. So James comes with his cut. You see what happened there? Again, without grabbing here, so. He doesn't like being kicked there right now. Want to go again? So, why don't you cut? So you guys understand what's happening here? Just say one more time. How did that feel? How did that feel to you?
You kind of presented a target that, and then it just disappeared.
Yeah. So the target I'm presenting isn't real, but I make you think it is. It's very much Kyojitsu. This is something Sensei was doing a lot in Japan too. Yeah.
And you seem to have moved forward.
Right.
Or was I moving to you? I don't know.
Well, you know, it's a little of both, but
It felt like that. There was like a second that I couldn't tell if I moved forward or you moved in, but all of a sudden,
right.
Space.
Yeah, and this can go different ways. So again, he comes in. How'd that one feel?
Did not. Well, yeah, because I gave it all. If I put it on my intent, I couldn't really.
You couldn't recover, yeah.
Go anywhere. I couldn't. I felt like I was extended. I felt like I could have taken a step, but I couldn't do anything.
this kind of thing all starts with the kyojutsu at the beginning. So when James is coming in here, I make him think there's a target that's not really there, right? So he ended up cutting himself. So it doesn't matter if there's a grab or not. Okay, it's just kind of mutodori. So I did two variations just now, one longer range, one closer range. But they all start with me presenting this kind of target to James. So he's getting ready to cut and he thinks there's a target there. It's not. I'm kind of giving it to him. Sensei has been saying for years, give him what he wants. Let him have it. And by doing that, then there's some deception that occurs. This is some advanced stuff. I mean, this is our advanced class, so, and I just came back from Japan, so yeah, it's a little high level. Yeah?
I feel like when I was doing this, I don't really feel like there's like any need for me to attack. Like it's almost like me just escaping.
Yeah. Sure, it can totally have that feeling. And Sensei, when I was in Japan, sometimes he's just using Metsubushi, you know, like, so you evade and you throw some Metsubushi in the guy's face and then you could escape. You know, sometimes there's no need to engage the other guy, right? And in fact, it's safer for you a lot of times not to. So if you can make your escape, all the better. Remember, sometimes we forget we're ninja and we try to do MMA, you know, and make the guy tap out or something. That's in ninjutsu. We never have a goal of making the other guy tap out. No, you're in the wrong class. Yeah, for us, you know, it's better not to ever engage in the first place. You know, and then if you end up engaging, it's better to disappear or evade. You know, so sometimes we have to remind ourselves of that. I want to go back to a more technique-oriented feeling here for a second, just to help you guys understand some of this here's feeling. So you can drop the sword. So we're going to start with a grab, and he's going to do a punch there. So we're back to this kind of motion, okay? And then I'm going to take this hand and do an omote on it. Okay, very technique-oriented. So covering here, right? Take this hand, do an omote gyaku. Okay? This is a very technique move, but I want to start with this so that we can then depart from it. So he comes with his punch, I break this free, omote gyaku. Okay? So it's pretty, this is almost kihon, almost this technique. It's very simple. But try it out and then we'll move from there.
Well, it's not a question, but
Yeah.
the uke really feels the pressure.
Mm.
You know, the other person could just really turning when the uke is like that.
Yeah, the uke kind of gets wrapped up in that space. It's interesting how that happens. And this is going back to what Sensei was saying about creating a safe space for yourself in the kukan. And then when you do that, if you go back to the theme from last year or the year before where we were talking about kaname, you know, that pivot happens and the uke gets trapped in it and caught in that whirlwind. So yeah, it's like, and it's not, the interesting thing is it's not so much you doing it, it just happens in that space. That's the really fascinating thing about it. To try to help you guys understand this year's theme a little more, I want to talk about the omote. So James is punching here. I'm using this. When we do a basic omote gyaku, when does it turn into omote? Does anybody know?
When you're stepping, when you're walking.
I don't know.
Before I even grab you.
I don't know. Does it turn into omote here? Does it turn into omote here? Is it when the wrist is bent? Is it when I attack the kyusho? When does it become omote? Is it omote when he's fallen? These are all interesting questions that I don't know the answer to. And the reason I ask that is because I think it's important that we think about techniques this way. If you predetermine a technique and decide it's going to be an omote gyaku, then maybe it's become an omote once you've made that decision. Yeah. But if you're working with this year's theme, which is not you doing the techniques, but you opening up and allowing things to work through you, then you can't make that decision to make an omote. Because if you do, then it's you doing the technique. So that's really an interesting, mind-blowing concept, right? And that's what this year's theme is kind of about. The reason I used an omote gyaku is because most of us are pretty familiar with it. And we've all done them a bunch of times, and we all have our own idea about when it starts or how it starts. But I want you guys to drop that idea of when an omote gyaku becomes an omote gyaku. James is attacking here. I don't know when this becomes an omote, so it's not necessarily an omote. Right? I didn't know I was going to do that, what I just did. Didn't plan it, had no idea where it was going. It just happened in the moment, okay? Because I didn't decide to do an omote. I just was flowing in that moment. So again, I've got a finger here. Again, I didn't decide to do anything. It just happened in that moment. One more time, Jesse. Yeah, don't flip me off. So, I just hooked with my thumb there. Haven't done anything to him. He's kind of terrified of it.
The finger thing is creepy.
Yeah.
If someone's like touching my finger that lightly, I'm out of here.
This sensei, this is all he does to people, and man, he puts the pain on with those fingers. People are screaming and yelping and jumping around the hambu, and in a lot of pain. And he's only doing it like this. And yeah, it's a scary feeling. So again, nothing's happened here.
What's coming?
Sensei did a lot of that in Japan too, attacking the eyes. Yeah. One more time.
Sure.
See, Richard grabbed a hold here. I didn't do it. That's your turn. I got plenty of energy with this kind of thing. So I just hooked with my thumb under his jaw. One more time, Robert. Again, I'm not holding, it's just hooked on the thumb. So on each person it looked a little different, right? That's because I'm not doing anything, it's just occurring naturally, it's evolving. But I'm starting off of that technique we just did with an omote gyaku. And it's really hard to explain this because that's my starting place, but I'm not doing an omote gyaku. If an omote appears, I might take it, but I'm not attached to that. If you get really lost somewhere, right, so he grabs, you can go back to this if you get really lost. And then while you're doing this, see if you can alter it. Okay, I just altered it there by attacking his pinky. Okay, so when you find yourself focusing on the omote, let go of that idea of omote and go somewhere else. So if you get really lost, go back to that technique to kind of reground yourself, and then you can evolve from there, okay? Another thing about this theme this year, Shingin Budo, is that Hatsumi said that normally we use human strength in fighting or in life. He said that there's a strength that's much stronger than that. It's 9 times stronger, he said. He called this strength a strength that emerges from the unconscious. An unconscious strength like this can only emerge when you're not thinking and when you're tied into something bigger than yourself. When that happens, the strength that comes through you can be enormously surprising, and it can really allow you to do things beyond your own normal capacity. That's the kind of thing we're striving for this year, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the year and trying to understand this very high-level theme. Please remember that he keeps telling us that this is all aimed towards the Jugodans and above. So if that's not quite where you're at in training, that's okay. There's strategies you can use to start to understand this. Think about when you're bowing in at the dojo, what does that mean to you? Does that help you create a divine space in the dojo maybe? When you cross through into a divine space, like underneath a torii, or walk into a spiritual space, what is that feeling like? And see if you can harness some of that feeling in combat. Also, when you're doing a technique, don't decide on the technique too early. Allow it to happen in its time. Allow the surprises to occur for yourself and your opponent.